Counselor Accents Podcast. Two school counselors who love their jobs. Oh, and they happen to have Southern accents too. Bless their hearts.
I'm Laura Rankhorn.
And I'm Kim Crumbly. And together we are Counselor Accents, two school counselors who are in the trenches with you.
We know what you're going through because we're living it every single day.
Laura, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Well, are you on the mend, my friend?
I'm on the mend. We had a day off today and it was much needed. And I'm going to call it a minor setback in my health today. But, and you warned me about,
I did.
But here's the thing. I keep telling you, I did not have surgery. So I don't want to act like a shrinking violet.
You were in the hospital for 7 days. I'm not going to argue with you. I want to tell you what happened. When Laura got sick, I immediately flew into her because she does not take care of herself at all.
Wait. What do you mean I don't take care of myself at all?
She told me I had to put a pin in it. I could not jump on her.
What do you mean I don't take care of myself? I exercise every day.
You eat like a trucker. You and I both eat like a trucker, and I know that. And you overdo everything. It's out. The pin's out of the bladder, and I am letting it rip.
Well, this is ugly in front of our guests.
Well, I have to do it in front of the guests, so you will listen to me. You got to take care of yourself.
Well,
and you hit the road running, and I knew you would. There was nothing I could say. There was nothing I could do. She was out helping winterize horses. Now, why? This is the thing that she chose to do. She decided that she was going to be a better person because of her near-death experience.
My near-death experience caused me to be a helper, look for the helpers.
And so she decided what she do with winterize horses, which cracks me up because she's not an animal or
I'm not an animal lover. But here's the thing. I love Ellie Blair, you know, my daughter. Well, yes, of course I love her, but I love her little horse trainer who is the most precious little, I'm going to call her a giblet because that's what she is. She's just a little giblet.
You could eat her. You could stick her in your pocket. Her.
Yes. She's just adorable. And she's tiny. And I am a woman of great girth, a little less girth.
To take care of her.
Yes. And I could not imagine her being out in these cold temperatures.
Frigid.
By herself getting these horses ready. And so I thought, I'm just going to put it out there. I said, do you want the girls and me to come by this afternoon and help? I said, I don't know what I'm doing, but I can take orders. She said, I will be by myself today. I would love the company. Okay, there it was. So I just had to water the horses, like put water in their
Yes. Keep going. Had to put water in
I had to throw some hay into the barn.
And, yep. And who's paying for it today?
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. It's like I said, Laura, you just got out of the hospital. For every day in your hospital, it's a week recovery.
But here's my thing. I was laid up in the bed. Okay?
I know. And that goes against your very nature.
And so I'm like, I had all those days laid up in the bed where I was not able to do anything. I should be rested. If anybody should be rested, it's me.
That's not how that goes.
So I feel like I have no excuse not to jump back in and
that's just it. That's just it. It's your raising, or your
raising.
It's your raising. There's no G in that. That's your raising, and I might as well just talk to that wall because you're gonna out tomorrow. You'll be out herding cattle.
Well, and let me say this too. Back when I did eat like a truck driver, I didn't have these problems. But then I tried to change up my diet and started eating salads. And turns out I need to go back to the beef and cheese because it was the cabbage that I guess got
I'm telling you, there's something to that. I went on an all kale. I decided to go all kale.
Yeah.
So I'm kaling. I am kaling everything.
Kaling it.
I'm kaling it. And I blow a kidney stone the size of Gibraltar. And he basically said, we got to knock out some of that kale. I'm like the first healthy food that has ever passed my lips.
See,
I went right back to wieners and Spam.
I will say this.
Potted meat.
Here in the South, I don't think that we are ready for cold weather, number one. Number two, anything that is not lathered up in lard. I think
we can't do it.
Our systems are accustomed to the lard. And so, you know what I'm going to do when we get finished with this? I'm going to go squeeze buttercream icing into my mouth.
Yes, you are. And I'm going to go in there and fry me up an Oreo.
Oh, gosh. I love this new lifestyle.
Otherwise, I don't know that I'll make it. It's just not going to work for me. We may be the most unhealthy culture in America. And America itself
maybe. I think we pretty much won that award.
We did win that award. And let me just say, and this is no offense to you being from Tennessee.
Okay.
But I've told you this before. I went up the New England coast and came back down, and I knew immediately when I hit Tennessee.
Because you could smell the grease.
I'm telling you, we were lumbering around. I mean, well, let me just say, we won't even learn. I was downtown Gatlinburg, and we're all riding a hub around, not because we can't walk. We just don't want to.
The air is laden with lard, I believe.
It is. So anyway, no, you do exercise. I'm not going to say that. You do exercise, and you are healthier than I am. I'm going to say that. You do eat healthier than I do, but you don't take care of yourself you don't slow down, and you don't allow yourself like I do. Like I'm going to lay around a lot more than you are. And see, that's medicinary.
I don't know. I think if you were to self-examine your own lifestyle, I don't think you slow down either. But that's not what this is about. This is not a tit for tat. Okay. Wish I hadn't said tit for tat. Regrets there.
I know who the tit is, and I know who the tat is. And that's all I'm going to say on that little saying. But
anyway, oh my goodness.
Maybe it's too soon to undo. I'd put a pin in all the things I wanted to say, and maybe I need to pin the rest up for now and just explode on you a little bit at a time.
Well, I guess this needs to be a process where I learn how to slow down. But, maybe, well, I don't know. I don't know how to slow down. I've never slowed down my whole life.
I know.
So it's not going to start.
It's my family. That's what we do when somebody's hurt or sick. We go straight to red brain. We're angry. Yeah. We're just angry. So it runs in my family. We're all just really mad when somebody's sick. So.
That's what this is about. You don't know how to handle your emotions and your worry about me.
No, I'm just going to be mad.
And you go mad and you blame me.
Yeah, I do. I blamed you in the ER. Like I walked in the ER hot and and you said, put a pin in it.
Yeah. I would just have hated that. I would have hated for your last words to me to have been so hateful. Like a chipmunk coming in. Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know how to transition from that into our very important topic that we have today. So it's just gonna be a very blunt cut off. Yes.
Yes.
I am so excited about the guest that we have with us today. We have wanted, let me go back a couple of years ago when we were at ASCA and we were going around to the exhibits. There's such value in visiting these exhibits at ASCA. So if you've never made time to visit the exhibits at ASCA, I would like to tell you, you're missing out. Make it a point. If you're going this summer, carve out some time. And I think ASCA's really worked on the schedule over the past couple of years to give us more time in the exhibit hall. Take advantage of that and go talk to these different exhibitors, because I had no idea all of the things that were in that exhibit hall. One of my most favorite and most memorable conversations was when we stopped at the booth for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And I will say that my whole life, I thought they helped locate missing children and that's all they did. But they told us, no, the E stands for exploited, and that covers a myriad of different things. That was an eye-opener for me. I won't speak for you, but that was for me. And I know that when we talked to them, I added them to my list of resources, when we have a DHR situation. Exploited covers that.
Yep,
They're
absolutely.
an additional resource for us.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to speak. I've hogged that part of the intro, so I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
No, let's just let her speak for herself. Let's get into the
Okay.
interview.
All right. We have Alejandra with us from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. This episode, I feel like, has been a long time coming because we have wanted someone from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to come on for a very long time. And I was able to make contact with somebody who could make it happen. And here we are with Alejandra, and I could not be more excited to hear what she has to say.
I agree. This has been a long time coming. It's such an important message. And this is something that we talk about, other school counselors talk about, other educators talk about. So thank you so much for coming on. Tell us a little bit about where you are, what you're doing, who you are. And let me say, if you're listening, she is as cute as a button.
Thank you so much for having us here. I am located in Alexandria, Virginia. That's where our headquarters are. We have different office. We have one in New York, one in Texas, one in California, and our headquarters is in Alexandria, Virginia, the Washington area. My name is Alejandra, as you heard. I am the Prevention Program Manager at the National Center. And a little bit about what I do is I have to stay up to date with the best practices when it comes to prevention and what we can do to keep children safe. Part of that is also learning what are the trends and the risks the children are facing online and offline, and how we can communicate that to parents, educators, and any adult, because adults are responsible to keep children safe. So that's where my role in the National Center is. That's what I do here.
Well, that is
Sounds like what we do in a way.
Well, it's
Except-
a huge job.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's such a resource that people in our field may not realize is out there. And I can see where over the years, you've probably seen this role grow exponentially.
Yes.
Well-
Yeah, so I have been working in DC in different social and public health issues most of my career, and I got very passionate about prevention because I felt that we tend to be very reactive and then instead of proactive. And when it comes to keeping children safe online and offline, there's so many things we can do to prevent victimization or minimize the risk. So yes, when I started in prevention, people didn't really know what it was. And I think in the last few years, I have seen how this, I don't say movement or branch of public health has been increasing more and more. So I'm very excited about that.
Tell us a little bit about how you got started.
It was by accident. So, like I mentioned before, I work in different public and social issues in the community. But I wanted to work with women who were experiencing domestic violence. And my sister was like, hey, actually, there is a job about the Child Advocacy Center in Washington, D.C. I don't know if you're familiar with CACs, but it's a national model where if a child discloses child sexual abuse, they bring him or her to the facility. So I applied for a prevention specialist job, and I also had another role, which was a client advocate. And the therapist and I developed a support group for parents whose children were impacted by child sexual abuse. So that's how I started in preventing victimization when it comes to child sexual exploitation.
That's some important work and some heavy work. Again, it's along the lines of what we do and what we're dealing with, but we always reach out. We're advocates that reach out and find somebody that can help us outside, what are the resources that we have. You mentioned trends, and I may be jumping ahead, but that caught my attention because it is so hard to keep up with the trends and what's going on. Talk to us a little bit about what trends you're seeing, or what message that you're trying to get out to educators or to parents.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think when I talk to parents, especially, they don't know a lot of the risks that their children are facing, especially online. And one of the risks that we see here in the National Center, so it is, CSAM, I don't know if you're familiar with that term, commonly known as child pornography. That's the federal definition. In the center, we call it CSAM, or child sexual abuse material, because that's what we think is a better definition. That's what we're seeing in these videos or images. So those are the reports that we get the most in the center. Then we also have, in the last year and this year, we have seen a huge increase in online enticement. And just kind of like a small definition for those who are not familiar with that term. Online enticement is when an adult communicates with a child online with the purposes of obtaining sexual explicit material from the child, or to meet in person for sexual acts, or to abduct the child. So that's kind of the definition of online enticement. So we have seen a huge increase on those reports. We also have seen since 2022 a spike of sextortion reports, especially with the financial component. And just to give you a little bit of a background about what we're seeing with financial sextortion, we see that mostly male teenagers. We see in every age, but an average is a teenager that is being victimized online. Usually there is a component of somebody reaching out to them, acting like it's a cute girl or a boy, and then ask for what we call nudes. And then once the child send that image, they start getting sextorted or blackmailed for money. We have seen that it can happen very quickly, and the money that they ask, it varies. Like it can be $20, it can be $100. So we don't have a set amount. And unfortunately, we have seen some children die by suicide because of that. So those are some of the trends that we've seen the most in these couple of years. We started seeing some AI, also victimization, peer-to-peer, sextortion kind of thing.
So
Well,
I know I know, Laura, you were thinking we had a podcast guest on who lost his son to sextortion, and same kind of situation, and ended up good kid, good family, embarrassed, and ended up, taking his own life. And I'm like, we've got to get this message out to kids, but it almost feels like this is such a heavy, big topic, and so I don't know that we are doing a good enough job of laying it out there for our students. So I'm so glad to hear you talking about this and this being a trend, because I think this is something that we really need to be talking about that laying these stories out and saying, look, this is how this could look and this could happen to you. Laura, what were you going to say?
Well, I totally agree. I was thinking about we had Brian Montgomery on our podcast about 2 years ago, and his story really shook us. And because it was the first of its kind, I think that we had encountered. It was just very unique at that time. I think now we're becoming more aware of situations like that, but it's still scary to those of us that are working with children because, as I'm listening to you talk, I'm thinking about, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Am I doing enough to educate parents, to educate the students? So let's talk for a second about what prevention tools are available to educators and to parents. What do you all have?
I think the most important thing is to have a open communication with children. As you mentioned before, there are no like vulnerable factors. We have seen kids that are, have like wonderful like social, they're like football players and really like a leader in their community. So it's not like sextortion happens to every kid. It can happen to every kid, I will say. So that's first, the most important thing. You need to talk to your children about what they're doing online. Just be involved in their lives. I always tell parents, if your child tells you, I'm going to the movies, you're going to ask, who are you going with? What movie are you going to watch? What time are you coming back? How are you getting there? You ask those questions, but we don't ask the same questions when it comes to the activities that they are doing online. So that's the first step, just be involved in their lives. I have seen, it's funny because last week I was taking a class about AI and social media and children. And they show that, they were talking about how children want to hear from parents about these issues and they want to have those conversations with parents and caregivers. So let's not shy away from those conversations, first of all. Second of all, one of the things that we really want parents and educators to, or any trusted adult to tell children is that no matter what, come to me and I will help you. Because sometimes children might feel like they're going to get in trouble and they might not want to say anything. And I always use this quote from one of a survivor that let me use this quote. And she said that as a child, they told me not to talk to strangers, but they never told me what to do if I did. So, and then if you Google sextortion cases, there was a mom that lost a child by suicide because the child was being sextorted. And she says, like, they tell me, would tell kids, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But if you do, what? We have to finish that sentence. But if you do and something goes bad, I'm here to support you and to help you through these hard times. So that's the other thing that we are telling parents, to finish that, holistic conversation and don't leave gaps and be very specific about what you're saying, what the risks are, what can they do, and also show them about where they can go and report if somebody is asking them inappropriate things. If something goes bad, where can they report? To the app, to the cyber tip line, and to any resources in the community where they live.
That is such good practical, we call it rubber meets the road, things that we can talk about with our students. Kim, it looks like you had a thought and I cut you off, which is unusual because normally you cut me off. So
well, I know how you feel.
Yeah.
No, I'm just thinking that when that was the first through your organization, it was at ASCA. I don't think it was this last year, maybe the year before was the first time that I saw the the now what kind of conversation. Like as a school counselor, I think we're very guilty of, if you do that, you don't do this. There's no way out of it. We give that kind of
Scary.
feel
Yeah.
students, but we're saying, if you do something online, it's done. You're never. It's we're. It's almost like we can scare you enough that you won't do it. But what we're finding out is that's not working. They're still getting caught in these traps because they're children. Their brains have not developed. And so that was the first time that I really had a conversation. It was somebody from your organization that I'm like, okay, I get it now. Like, I can't just say, if you do this, it's done. There's, what I was saying was basically your life is over. You've done this. I can't help you. And so I realized that we're past that. So I think that your organization's doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
And we as educators need to share that now what message. We can help you. We can go in and try to fix this. So I guess that leads us to the next part of, if a student sends nudes of themselves, our message has always been, that's your footprint. You've done it. It's online. It's out there for the whole world to see. And part of that, tell me how much of that is true that we can get that back for a student. How does that work?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question, because I heard that message growing up, and I was so scared about what I was putting there. I actually deleted my Facebook like a few years ago, because I was like, I don't want this to be in the world. I was 20 when I got it, and my brain wasn't fully developed, as you mentioned. But that, thank goodness, is not completely true anymore. We have so many tools to help remove, especially if it's explicit content of minors in the internet. So we develop a tool for anybody to access. Well, this is especially for children. But if you send a nude and you think that the nude is circulated online, or a video, you can go to take it down, and it's anonymous. It will ask you 3 questions if the pictures were taken before you turn 18. I think there are 2 other questions, I don't remember. Then you select the picture or the video from your device. We don't take the picture. We share like a serial number that is in each picture. We take that number and then we send it to companies that are participating. They look for that content and then they take it down. So, I'm so grateful that technology has advanced so that we can take those images from the internet. Yeah, so even if it's AI generated, you can still use that tool. However, we believe that if there are images online, especially if you're being victimized, you should contact the cyber tip line, because that's an official report. And they ask me a lot about what is the difference. And some people believe that if you use take it down, that automatically gives the official report. And that's not true. This is anonymous. They're just trying to take that image down from the platform that it is. But the cyber tip line, what it does is official report. We send it to the ICAC, which is the Internet Crime Against Children unit, they are detectives. All they do is internet crimes against children. We also have more resources to give to the victim and the family, and we can provide more resources also to law enforcement to figure out the case. And I will say that, if somebody's victimized, maybe that offender is victimizing another kids too. So by making that report, you can help others to be more safe or to help them if they're facing victimization. So I do want to make the difference between Take It Down and the cyber tip line.
Okay. So another rubber meets the road. If a child were to disclose to you as a school counselor or an educator that they have some images out there, you're saying direct them to the Take It Down website.
Yes.
And also the Crimes Against Children, the Internet Crimes Against Children tip line.
So it's called the cyber tip line. That's our NCMEC reporting site. And that's the official site to report. So that information is available to law enforcement.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I know Kim and I, we get our school resource officer involved. I know, is there like a protocol that you would recommend?
We created the Take It Down because when we start seeing the spike on financial extortion, a lot of the children that were facing victimization didn't want to make the official report. They were like, give me something to do, and I just want to get this done and forget about it. So we want to meet victims where they are in their healing process. And if that's where they are right now, that's what we're going to provide. So like I say, it's anonymous. You will look for that content and take it down. I believe that making the report to the cyber tip line is a more effective way because we can provide more resources to the victim and to law enforcement to help with the case, especially if it's like sextortion or online enticement or some other type of victimization.
Okay.
So how often, like with our system, when we have our own investigator of sextortion and these images, and they sometimes are involved, but how often does a county or school or whatever reach out? Do y'all work with most law enforcements, or is it just depending upon, I mean, is that a pretty regular thing for you guys to find out when it's happening, say in just some rural part of Arkansas or whatever? Does it all go through you guys, or?
So we are the clearing house for any crimes against children. So when you report it to the cyber tip line, we work with federal, state, and local law enforcement to provide technical assistance, support, and any other resources that law enforcement might need. And we provide, communications. We have a lot of resources for law enforcement to access what they need in order to continue with the case.
Fantastic. I wasn't sure exactly how that worked. If it was just, I would hope that I would be a pipeline. We're all working together, but it makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah,
yeah. I want to ask a question about AI. We saw this coming before, I guess it's so prevalent now, and we're seeing how much AI can do. So how often are you seeing victims of, they're just taking their face and they're putting them on bodies is that pretty common? How is the AI working? How is that working with students? Is somebody just taking their picture and using it?
We have seen, and we don't have the data available yet, so I can't really tell you
Sure.
how much, but we have seen the tools of AI in peer-to-peer victimization, where somebody might use a Notify app and then kind of spread the images around. This kind of the things that we've seen. We have seen offenders using AI to create AI CSAM. Some kind of way, or maybe creating it, modifying existing system to other elements of with AI. So we have seen the use of AI in child exploitation.
That looks like, as we saw this coming over the horizon, it looked like a beast. I mean, how would you stop this? How will you control it? So I imagine that has changed the game, and I imagine AI continued. In some ways, it may help with what you're doing, I imagine, but I can see where that would put a whole new spin on what people are able to do, how they're able to victimize.
Yes. So I believe the AI is a great tool for many things, like you mentioned, but also good things come with bad things. I do think that right now we are in a very special moment, especially adults, because right now we're both children and adults at the same speed learning AI, but it's going to be a short window. Kids are just gonna go and take off with like knowing how to use AI. So I think right now we have a very unique time to talk to our children and learn from the mistakes that we learn with social media, right? We didn't talk to our children. We kind of like didn't really learn. So let's try to avoid the same mistakes. Maybe we're gonna make new ones, but we're evolving in this. And so talking to our children, I also think that we really need to focus our message to the bystanders and the creators of content before we focus a lot in preventing or the person that was creating the image, right? Don't send a sex. Don't send, to your boyfriend or to your girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. Don't take the image. But with AI, you don't have to take the image for somebody to use a Notify app to create a synthetic image, nude image of a child. So we need to talk to those creating the images, especially when they're kids, and be like, you might be want to explore sexuality or relationships or whatever, you're curious, but you don't know how much you're going to impact or harm that person in the image, and to the bystanders. I think last week when I was in my class that I was talking about, when asked children about, like their pressures and stuff, they're just like, oh, I just want to be not stand up. So sometimes they might not want to stand up for somebody because then they don't want to be the bully, receiving the bully. But we have to change that, and we have to let kids know that they have the power to stop victimization, especially when it comes to AI. If somebody's creating a synthetic picture of a classmate.
We talked about resources a while ago. I know that I did receive a couple of posters that I thought were very powerful that I could place in the bathroom. And I know that's just a simple thing, but it just basically shared the message that if you have these pictures out of yourself, here's a number. Here's what you can do. So are those available for any school counselor, or are there other resources like that? They're just tangible things that we can get, or lessons maybe on your website, or is there anything like that our listeners can access?
Yes, so in our website, everything that you see there is for free. All of resources, services, anything. When it comes to prevention and flyers and tip sheets, they all are for free. They're in English and Spanish. We're translating in some other languages, but they're not available yet. You can go to our website and download them. If you have, I don't know, a school fair or a parents event, and you need us to send you flyers or tip sheets in bulk, we can send that to you for free. You just have to give us like 2 weeks so that we can mail it to you. We do have short videos, presentations, activities with children. Last year, we developed 3 short videos. I think they're like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. One is about healthy relationships or the red flags of relationships that mimic a lot of the grooming and the online enticement. Um, and it comes with a guide of how you can start having those conversations with your child, because a lot of the times parents tell us like, I do want to talk to my child, but I don't know what to say or how to address. Don't worry, we have conversation starters questions for you. We develop one that is called sextortion, and we develop it with the help of consultants that have experienced sextortion victimization. And we also developed another video that is called I'm a Survivor of Sextortion, because talking to our consultants, they were in that victimization for a long time because they were scared of speaking out, right? Like, my mom is gonna be mad at me. It's my fault. I started talking to this person. And we want them to know that this is a crime. There's nothing wrong that you did, and we're here to help, and you should ask for help. So we created those 3 videos. This year, we're creating 3 videos for elementary school, upper elementary school, and it's going to be all about AI and what it calls deepfakes. We call it synthetic images, that peer-to-peer victimization that we're talking about, and healthy relationships also, and just have to have more balance between online and offline activities, and what to do if something happened. So all of those are going to be available or are available for free.
That's an incredible resource to educators who feel like we are in the trenches and this is developing so much more quickly than we can educate our students. And so we're very grateful to you for coming on today and sharing these resources and just equipping us with one more tool that we can use to help save our children.
Yeah, thank you.
Kim?
No, I'm just thinking about that. If our listeners, there is a big message behind that says you can make a difference, and so you really are making a difference. And thank you for sharing these resources so that we can continue to help make a difference. Sometimes it's just we don't know, and so the more knowledge is power. So giving us, I was just thinking, Laura, how great it would be too, as she mentioned, when we have parent night, having something set up for parents, because I think this is only, this just continues to increase. We see it in our papers. We see it with people in your community who are being arrested for trying to solicit. So we know if it's happening in small towns, it's happening everywhere in the United States. So we need to get this message out. And thank you for that, and taking time with us today to give us some of those tips and resources.
No, thank you so much for having me. And I just want to say that we're here for anything you need. When in doubt, just reach out to us if you have a student that comes to you and disclose something and you don't know if that's reportable or not. Just give us a call, and we can help you navigate how to better, respond to your students' disclosure.
And Laura, I just think it's so important to add to that. You and I have had situations before where we weren't sure if anything was being done, and we knew it was a very dire situation. And so we knew that if it didn't get taken care of, that this is a resource we have. So wherever you're at, you have a resource. If you feel like things are not being taken care of or not being done, you can reach out and say, hey, is this handled correctly? So don't forget, as a school counselor, you have this wonderful resource.
I
And
agree.
talk to the educators too, because sometimes when I talk to teachers, as you mentioned, we go all around the country to different conference. And sometimes when I get the opportunity to talk to teachers and tell them about NCMEC and what we do and ask questions about what they're seeing, and then I talk about sextortion, online enticement, they're like, oh my gosh, that's happening in my school. I didn't know that I can report this, and I didn't know how to react. And you don't know what you don't know, and that's not something that we all talk about. It's very taboo to talk about these issues. And when I work in the CAC, I didn't know a lot of the things that we couldn't report to the cyber tip line. So even I was in the field, I wasn't aware of it. So yeah, talk to counselors, talk to the teachers and be like, hey, if you need to report something, you're not sure, you can always contact the cyber tip line or NCMEC and we can help you.
Wonderful.
I love that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Laura, back to your point in the intro when you were talking about that part of exploited. This is a great resource because we do hear from counselors who don't feel that a situation is taken care of, or they have this feeling that something's going on with this student, their behavior's changed, their dress has changed, or maybe they know what's going on, but they don't feel like law enforcement or their own particular human resources or whatever is doing anything to help. This is a backup. And if you don't know about this resource or are using this resource, when you talk to parents, when you talk to students, go to the website, reach out to them, and use. This is more important, I think, after especially our podcast that we did with our parent who had lost a child.
Yeah.
And it is so vital that we have these conversations. Well, here's your resource.
That's so true. That's such a great point. And I have had to call them before in certain situations. They were so helpful. They walked me through. They gave me some different ideas on how to approach the situation. They're a huge resource for us as school counselors. Sometimes you want another person to bounce an idea off. You think, have I done enough? Well, add National Center for Missing and Exploited Children to your list of resources and give them a call. There's so much more that they do than what I originally thought.
Absolutely. So I think this is going to be a very useful. Share this. Even if you don't share the podcast, share the resources with other educators. So that makes you a leader.
Oh,
when
good
you have
point.
the information and you're sharing it out, that makes you a leader. So here you go.
Yep. Good point. So Kim, we have our Behavior Detour conference coming up very soon. It is like right here, knocking at the door.
We're on the cuspid.
Just if you're going to call it a cuspid, go ahead and call it the bicuspid. Okay.
We're on the bicuspid of this thing.
There you go. We are very, very excited because this is the second year that we're doing our Behavior Detour conference. I think last year we found ourselves in this situation where we were just scratching our heads, throwing our hands up, saying, what in the world? Where are these behaviors coming from? And we knew we weren't alone because we were hearing from other educators all over the nation. And we said, we've got to create something for them. So we gathered about 20. This year, we have about 20 different speakers, 20 of the nation's leaders in behaviors to share with us solutions to these behavior issues. So this is an on-demand conference. It launches February 7th, but don't worry if you've got a ski trip planned for February 7th and you're not going to be around, that's okay. You have access through December 31st. So this is an on-demand. You can watch it as you go here and there. We're just very excited about it.
And this covers I've been listening to some of these as they're coming in, and I'm like, this is talking about high school students, mentor programs, your special ed students, how the brain works, how middle school. It's just covers so many different things that even if you walk away with one game-changing thought, an aha, that it can make all the difference. And that's what we saw last year.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a lot of aha moments. And so we're thrilled to do our second annual behavior conference. This is for all educators. And we're going to hear, this is for administrators. If you have an administrator who needs answers, because we know what used to work is not working anymore. So a lot of tips, well worth the very small price. And so that you'd pay for this, hours and hours of help that it's really practical, very simple language, rubber meets the road things that you can use and share with other educators as a school counselor or as a leader in your school.
Very true. So sign up for that as soon as possible. And we also have a few other things that are up and coming. Are we ready to talk about the next thing that we want proposals for?
Oh, I don't know when you're ready.
Okay.
I never know what you're going to do.
Okay.
But I love that about you.
Well,
I say wait and hold that carrot over. I don't know.
Okay.
What does that mean? Holding a carrot. It's like dangling a carrot. Is that what you say? Dangle the carrot.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And also we've got a few places you might want to check with your spring school counseling conference and see if we're on the agenda, because we're going to be popping up a few places this spring. We're really excited about that.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it yet, but we're excited.
Hey, but the bag's always packed and ready to travel.
It's always ready. Yep. If whether I'm going to the hospital or whether I'm going to speak at a conference, you just never know.
I don't care. Bag packed, ready to go.
Same outfits, either way. That's
all good. Yeah.
All right. Well, you can like us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram, and that's it.
All the things. I don't know what's out there now. What are you?
I really don't even
doing now.
I don't know either.